This is the EG Monte Carlo 500EX, and it really resembles a chopper, but it is an electric bike. You got that hub motor at the rear, 500 watts, and that's kind of designated by the 500EX naming convention there. Enormous 48 volt, 10 amp hour lithium-ion battery that is removable. It's got this like keyed interface here, and the key has to stay in while you're riding. That's one of the kind of downfalls of this bike, and others that kind of use basic stuff. But again, the battery is removable, sort of a locking point right here. And the seat even has this cool flip up lever. You can just swivel it forward like that. Really oversized, very comfortable. It's a nice looking bike overall. It actually reminds me of the Ford Super Cruiser that Pedigo made, just with that kind of flat black coloring and this big fork. You can see that the tubing is extended way up here, so it's sort of a longer travel, burlier looking thing. And it looks like it has a through axle. It might be like 15 millimeter. I couldn't exactly figure that out when I was doing research online. But it also has these hydraulic disc brakes, Tektro 160 millimeter rotors, front and rear. And that's going to be, just extra good for stopping power. You can kind of see the levers right here. Tektro Aruga. E-comp, some nice, sort of ergonomic grips here that match, and then those upright, swept-back chopper style handlebars. We've got the bell, and then the trigger shifter here. It's a little bit oversized, so we've got a throttle as well as these two sort of interfaces for the 7-speed Shimano cassette. Here it is, Shimano Alivio cassette in the rear. I like that they've added this little bash guard right here to protect it, in case you come into contact with like a curb or something, cruising around. They've got this beautiful chain guard, extra long, with sort of the flame designs on the front right there. Again, sticking with that chopper feel. Rear fender, and I think it comes with a front fender as well. It's not on this bike, but there might be a front fender along with a little LED light. So there would be one light for the front and one light for the rear. And this actually uses, I think it's just battery operated. It's kind of independent, so it's not like built in to the system. A little bit more of a cost saving measure there. But I do love just the overall aesthetic. Everything kind of matches, from that big seat to that sort of fatter top tube to this big rear rack and the fenders. The rear rack isn't standard gauge tubing. You can see that it's a little bit thicker, and it is bolt-on here and here. But they've got these little extra mounting points right there that are a little bit more standard. So a lot of panniers kind of hang off the, they have clips, and it's designed to still work with those, but give you a little bit more of that burlier look and sort of match the overall aesthetic of the bike. Got the kickstand, these nice aluminum alloy platform pedals here with good grip. Again, just everything matches pretty well. And this bike is a decent value. It's about $2,800. Considering that it's got the suspension, even though the suspension doesn't have lockout or anything, it is a little bit burlier. It's a zoom fork. Got the hydraulic disc brakes and that 500 watt motor with 48 volt battery system. That's really not too bad. Now, some of the downsides of the bike are that it is heavier. The website says about 60 pounds, but I've weighed this and it's upwards of 65. So, and that's without that front fender. So you're definitely gonna have to, you might have a harder time moving this thing around, lifting it, trying to put it on a car rack. It's not super well balanced. A lot of the weight is sort of towards the rear of the battery and the motor, as you can see there. Again, the battery is removable and that helps, but the wheels don't really have quick release on them. You can see here in the front, it's just sort of like bolted on. Even though it is maybe a thicker axle for strength and stability, it's not as easy to sort of disassemble. And that's one of the other interesting things about this bike. The wheel sizes are different. Okay, so this front wheel is 26 inches. It's 26 by 2.15 inch tire. And the rear wheel is 24. Okay, so it's 24 by 2.15. And that kind of gives it that upright, like California lift look in the front there with, a little bit more, I guess it gives it it's that aesthetic thing again. But having a smaller diameter in the rear is also going to give you better mechanical advantage for that hub motor. So again, I mentioned it's 500 watt geared. It is from 8 Fun. You can kind of see the 8 Fun logo on the side. Being geared, it's a little bit lighter and smaller for the power output that you get, and that's kind of nice. You know, it blends in a little bit here. It's not a super huge wide hub. It's considering the overall weight of the frame already, it's kind of nice that there's not additional weight being added with the motor design. And as far as ride modes that this bike offers, you really get quite the variety. Not only do you have this trigger throttle right here that you can activate at any time, you've also got 5 levels of pedal assist, and those are activated by this 12 magnet cadence sensor on the front. So anytime the bottom bracket is turning as your cranks go round and round, it just senses that these magnets are passing that little electronic sensor, and the motor kicks in at 1 of 5 levels of power. It's not quite as smooth as something like a torque sensor, or maybe a multi-sensor that's sensing your speed and your cadence and your torque, but it's decent, you know, especially for this price range. Gets the job done. And what I found is that you don't have to actually push as hard. You don't have to exert yourself in the same way as like an electric mountain bike that's torque sensing. So for cruising around town and just enjoying yourself, I actually really like it. It gets the job done nicely. So the way that you activate the bike is, you know, insert the key, twist it on. Again, you kind of have to leave the key in. It could dangle a little bit. Well, I should say it's got the little LED indicator, so if you did take that battery off to charge it inside, you could tell just really quickly, like, oh, how full is it? So anyway, I've activated the battery. I've got this nice remote button pad, and I love that the cable is long enough to reach all the way out here, so you don't have to take your hand off of the grip. You press mode for a couple seconds, and the display comes to life. You've got your speed here in miles per hour or kilometers per hour, your odometer, your battery level, your motor wattage, and then your pedal assist level. And right now we're in pedal assist 1. You're always in 1 of 5 assist levels. So I haven't figured out a way to turn assist off, which is, you know, it could be a little bit, I guess it could surprise you. You might think like, oh, I'm using throttle mode, and then you pedal and whoop, the motor kicks in. So it doesn't have a way that I've figured out to switch that off, but that's fine. I like the fact that you can actually override pedal assist at any time with that throttle, because you might be in 1 trying to maximize your range, you know, being real efficient with the motor, and then approaching a hill and realizing, oh, okay, I need extra power. I'm just gonna hit the throttle right now. Get yourself up that hill, and then boom, you're back in pedal assist 1. You didn't have to mess with the buttons. So to change pedal assist levels, you just arrow up, 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 and the top one is 5, speed mode. And I might start out in that and just show you, you know, how responsive the system is, what the motor sounds like, and yeah, let you feel this thing out. So put that kickstand up. Whoa. Hop on this bad boy. We got the bell. It's kind of nice. Yeah, and I do like the suspension kind of smoothing out the ride a little bit. You got this nice, really upright and relaxed ride position. It's fun. It's a good feeling. It's probably the most chopper-esque electric bike I've ever tried. Now I'm going to hit that throttle from rest and let you get a feel for what that's like. I noticed that, considering this is pedal assist level 5, it didn't kick in super strong. I actually haven't noticed a whole lot of variation between level 1 and level 5, but you know, it does work. You'll notice there was maybe a little bit of a delay kicking in, and then a little bit of a delay for the motor to stop. But you know, it still works. It works fine. So I'm going to do the throttle this time from standstill. All the way up, a little bit past, we're in kilometers per hour here, but definitely jumped up quickly. testing out those disc brakes. They work well, definitely get the job done. Some bikes have larger discs these days, you know, like 180 millimeter instead of just the 160s, but I think they do just fine. Yeah, you know, for 2,800 bucks, I don't think you can find something else quite like this. And EG kind of stands for Evergreen. I'm at Myron's Extreme Machines in Fullerton, California, home of the Electric Bicycle Center. You know, really nice people, and they carry the EG line, so you can find this around the country at some dealers. For all the specs on this bike, including other EG reviews, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.